Well, what's the crack? You're all very welcome to Ramble Pod, number 52 of the Ramble Pod, part of Buckshot. Clearly, if you've downloaded this or you're listening live or whatever way you're listening to it, it's all part of the old Buckshot package. How are you? We are currently live streaming over on Patreon, purely exclusive to the Patreons, of course. Just make sure of that. Yeah, we're over on Patreon. So, thank you very much to those Patreon folk. Fair play to you, boys and girls. Throwing a few quid at the podcast every month to keep the old lights on over here and keep the show up and running. It's cool. It's really cool to show the old appreciation, you know what I mean? And you got, obviously, the Patreon folk get it live. You get the back catalogue of the Tom and Jerry show. Of course, if you're on it a while, you've probably listened through to them all now. And I have some free time coming up in June. So I'm going to be creating more content purely for the old Patreons. It's only fair if you're giving a few bob. And I mean, you can give a few bob and expect, and it would seem people don't expect it. They're not like, hey, what's the fucking crack? So I have unlisted a few of the videos. If video is your thing, for the most part, I think people don't listen to podcasts in the hopes of seeing a video. But if it is your thing and you just want to see my head talking, then it's all there. Currently, yeah, I mean, if you do subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll see a couple of the live ones. So you'll see what I'm talking about and all the rest of it. It's just to kind of build towards it, you know what I mean? Because we will be doing some video ones in that. I tried it with the GoPro before, but I'm going to have a Mevo camera in mind, lads. A Mevo camera. Wait till you see this snazzy piece of kit. Yeah, that'll be the next purchase. That'll be the next purchase for the snazzy bit of kit that the Patreons will be paying towards. Essentially, it's the Patreons that are paying for the good stuff here, so you can thank them as much as I thank them. Right, that's out of the way. What gigs do I have? Gigs for you this week? I don't think I do. I don't think I have anything public anyway this week. Makes me sound like I'm going to be getting my kit off for somebody. No, I'm doing Bingo Loco in Drogheda, which I think is possibly sold out already. But if you are looking to see me, I'll be in next week on the 5th. I'll be in Landmark Comedy Club. But also, I will be... I've never done that one. I haven't done that one before. I'll be in the Laughter Lounge. I don't know. I think I'm on with Rory O'Hanlon. And they're the 6th, 7th and 8th of June. Yeah, there you are. I'm not going to stay long. It was it was a great weekend. It was a fucking terrible weekend as well. So I'm not going to stay long. I'm actually, I am heading out the door again to record Friday's podcast. As always, I'm always heading out the fucking door, but to record Friday's guest podcast. But yeah, not in a mad mood for running around the houses talking and all the rest of it. We're getting it out of the way. I had where was I? Saturday night. Oh, for fuck's sake! I had some crack Saturday night. We were in where was I? I was in Newry. In McCooey's and Newry. Oh, Jesus Christ. I had no idea what McCooey's was, to be honest. I just thought it was a bar. It sounds bar-like, doesn't it? And no, it's cafe. It's a cafe. Because when I typed in, for the address, it says McCooey's was closed 3 hours ago, Tom. I'm like, fuck me. Oh, wait. Jesus, even bigger than that. Well, I suppose pre-cursing that, I was in Saturday. I had my fucking axe making course on Saturday, lads. And it was as much fun as you imagine it was. Rock up for about 10 to 9 out in Rusborough House in Blessington in County Wicklow. Beautiful setting and all the rest. Of course, it didn't have €3 coins, which is what it takes to get in the gate. But a very nice woman with her fob spot the big fucking panicky head in me, rifling through the ashtray for fucking euro coins to get in the gate. But she waved me in with her fob. But essentially, yeah, there was 5 of us, and this she was Danish, this woman. Herself and the husband, they met in blacksmithing school over in the UK, and they opened this place, this forge. They built their own forge in one of the outhouses in Rusborough House, and they lived there on the property. But essentially, you start out with a block of steel, and yeah, I'm going to put up a couple more pictures. I put them up on the old Instagram, which is Tom O'Mahony Comedy. Have a gander at it. You'll see what you start out with. But I mean, it was exactly what, because you know what I mean. You're not going to the phone. You're not being distracted by fucking anything. You're having a bit of a chit chat with the lads, because there was 3 forges and there was to be 6 of us, so two on each forge. and it's just this fucking ridiculously hot fucking fire blowing on these coals, or coke is what the name of the stuff is. It's not actually coal at all. And you start off with a lump of metal, and basically she shows you the pressing methods and the slapping methods with the hammer and all the rest of it, and where you want to be aiming for, and you know what I mean. It was just great chat, like from the get go. So you kind of knew from the outset what you were aiming for, and she had a couple of examples and things like that. So you good old pep talk for an hour, and I mean, fucking 8 hours of just slapping iron. It was that sounds like some sort of metaphor, doesn't it? I was slapping iron all weekend, guys. It's amazing. Fucking hell tonight. Yolks are unplugging all over the place around me here. But it was therapy. Like, you couldn't have therapy. Like, it just second to none. Second to fucking none. And I was flying it because I'd done a bit of metal work and stuff like that, so I was all right. I kind of had a fair idea and was patient enough with heating it up in certain spots and stuff. But there's a big power hammer. It's essentially, I must actually put a picture of it up. It's a big fucking gigantic fucking hammer basically that smashes down, like real industrial looking shit. Now, we weren't allowed to go near that because she was a professional blacksmith. She said you could lose a hand in the fucking thing. And it did look old school. Like, it looked old school as fuck, like where easily a limb could get caught in this thing. So she flattened out a bit of it for us after he'd gotten it out to a certain point. But she was flying with everybody's and whatever. She took her eye off the fucking ball when it came to my one because she twisted it. And there was no apology. It was like, yeah, I'm after making a ball to that on you there. So what you'll do now is, I'm like, what? I was fucking half an hour ahead of everybody. What? Well, I wasn't. I was doing well though. It was going great. But do you know what? I wasn't even a bit pissed off. I was like, okay. But I had to take a few steps back to straighten it back out. But I kind of liked that there was no apology. It was like, yeah, that's that. So be getting on with it and don't be bitching about it. There was no, can I speak to the manager? There was none of that shit. It was just, yeah, I twisted that. So fucking sort it, man. You know, there was a kind of an appreciation there. It was like, cool, all right, okay, you fucking twisted it, grand. You have to make my life a bit tougher, but so what? But yeah, I spent the fucking day. I don't know, but I would do it if you can do it. They do a knife making course as well, so I'm definitely going to do that. Yeah, it was just fucking enjoyable. I put pictures up of what you start with and what you finish, and I think I have a couple of more that I'd like to put up. Just of the coolness of it, like, you know what I mean? But I swear to Jesus Christ, you want to see, like, she was only a thin woman, but fuck me, like, you know, when you'd hand her up a lump of metal because she wanted to have a look at it or whatever as you were going, and like, while you'd be, there's the metal, she'd just take it out of your hand like it was a flower, like it was nothing. You just knew the wiry veins all over her hands and everything. You knew this one, and she'd be like a spider monkey if she fought you. She'd rip your fucking face clean off. There'd be no beating somebody like that. That's that iron worker strength, like farmer strength. That shit is in your bones, like, you know what I mean? That stuff you can't work out in the gym. That swing, but my fucking elbow is, oh my God, I'm such a pussy. I didn't realize how soft I got. Now my technique and everything, I'm guessing, was shit, like, you know what I mean? Because you do, when you're smashing steel on an anvil, you want to be putting it in the middle of the anvil, because anywhere else it's just going to bounce all over the fucking place. But even still, my fucking elbow, fucking wanker's cramp on a fucking industrial level here, lads. It's ridiculous. But it came out, I was just spent after. It was just like, oh, lovely. It was lovely. I was fucking filthy. Hands were busted. Got a bit burnt. Ended up with a fucking axe afterwards. Like, so I'm going to put some finishing touches, polish. I know what I want to do. I want to leave it all rough, like with the hammer marks put up by the edge, where the blade, where the edge is. I'm going to polish it to a mirror finish. I'm not going to use the fucking thing, like, but I'd do something cool with the handle as well, I think. Turned out I was very, very pleased with the whole affair. Very pleased. I would well advise it. I'm going to do the knife making course for sure. I'm just going to leave hints around the house of knife making courses and whatnot, and hopefully herself will buy it for the birthday or something like that. Then shot in home, couple of sandwiches in my face, got washed. The black shit washed off all the black shit out of my face and fucking hair and everything else. On with the clobber, out the door and up to Newry. Fucking amazing though. I had, because like when I was leaving, I have 2 something hours in my head, because I'm figuring Belfast drive, but nah, before I knew it, I was in Newry. It was fucking lovely, an hour and 10 minutes. But yeah, so McCooey's is a cafe, because that's what I was putting into the thing. It was like, McCooey's closed hours ago. Where are you fucking going, you tit? But I didn't. I I got walking up and going, where the fuck is this place? And it looked closed, like. But I show up and they had a full house. They fucked back all the tables and everything, made a mini theater of it. Like it's about 40 or 50 people in. Like it was great. It was great the way they. It's a fantastic idea. I've done one or two like that before, and there's always a few concerns. And I talked about it earlier. I was like, I did one of these down in Kerry before in the restaurant, and like fellas were just stopping and looking in the window behind you because you're at the window, like you're at the front door essentially. But I was like, and I pulled the curtains, and then I copped, there's no blinds, or no, nothing. No shades, no nothing. So, and it's a summer's evening. There's going to be a few fucking headers pass or whatever. But it didn't for the first couple of lads that were on. It was Paddy and, what was the other chap's name? And William Thompson was hosting. And they got no weirdos. They got nothing. But I knew and there was no spotlight. So it's just, these are things where you're trying to turn a cafe into a comedy club. Just small things, you know what I mean? It's grand. They brought over a lamp that kind of lit my face, because by the time you're going on last, it's fucking dark, you know what I mean? You can't turn the regular lights on, so you can't be talking in the dark. So they brought over a lamp for me and stuff, and it seemed to be going well. Like, they were a lovely, lovely audience, and there was a fucking class dog. Leanne, the proprietor of the property, has a fucking class dog. It was a Beaversham or something. I don't know. I put up a picture anyway on Instagram again, because he was just one of them dogs that sits up and goes, hey! Like, I was genuinely going to bring him on stage, but then I thought, I could have enough to deal with here now. In my old experience of this, I could have enough to deal with. And it was great. Great. Went up there and we were having a good time. And I talked about, living in smaller towns where you know everybody, including the mad bastards. And so you're not as frightened as in cities where people see a mad bastard and they get terrified. Like your man is going to fucking bite him or something like. But here's like, it's just a local mad bastard. And I swear to God, and everybody was chuckling along because they all knew what I was talking about, and I'd no sooner fucking said it, I'd say maybe 5-10 minutes later, when right behind me some lad in a Celtic jersey, because I'm guessing Celtic were they playing Hearts or somebody, I found out. Oh, sweet suffering Jesus, this fucking absolute warped head fucking weirdo. An absolute Lula, who'd been clearly on the sauce since early fucking morning possibly. And he's shuffling up along the footpath, looks in, sees the back of my head, sees there's people talking to me. What does a pisshead fucking want to do when there's people fucking gathered in a situation? I want to be part of the situation. So your man starts like blowing his cheeks on the fucking yoke. Oh, for fuck's sake. And it was but it was great, because I had done that bit, I swear to God, instinctively. Like, I knew some fucker was going to pop up and I'd need a get out of jail card. And quickly referenced that joke. Everybody started roaring, laughing. Your man thought he was being a fucking genius. Nobody was actually laughing at it. It was just, and it went on. It didn't just last 30 seconds. It went fucking on and fucking on and on and fucking on. So at a point then, Leanne, the owner, was like, I'm gonna have to deal with this fucker. And I just went, yeah, because I'm just leaning against the fucking window frame going, I can't deal with this. And in fairness to the crowd, they were like, go on, you Grant. I'm like, no, I'm not doing a fucking thing. That's not me being a diva, but there's no point in me saying words while he's standing there dancing back and forth outside the fucking window, because you're not going to be able to hear a thing. So she went out to him, and she's trying to negotiate with him, and she's pulling him up the road, and he's asking, he busts in the door and he goes, can I get in for £1? And you're like, get out to fuck. It had just turned into a circus, so they're outside the door and they're to and fro and we can't hear what they're saying. So my only natural thing was to sit down in the front row with the microphone and start lip syncing their conversation back and forth between each other. And we had a great time. It was quite funny, I will admit, but that's funny for about a minute. So there are specific maths to comedy. There's about a minute in that. There's not an awful lot more, but he was there for about 4 fucking minutes. So she finally got him up the fucking road. Turned out he'd been barred out of everywhere and fucked out of everywhere else. And he... Oh, you have to love comedy. It was a good night, but I ended up... I was to do like the half an hour because of that farcical fucking carry on and all the rest of it. Before I knew it, it was like an hour I'd done. So it was time to get the fuck out of there. Yeah, it was good crack. Good crack. But yeah, the good crack ended. I got a phone call on Sunday, and very, very, one of my best friends, really, I suppose, and we don't see each other enough. Billy Anderson. he was killed in a car crash on Sunday morning, down in Wexford, driving to a match. He was coaching, an American chap. He coached an American football team down there, but he was kind of a youth care worker and I suppose addiction specialist is what it was, and fucking life was flying for him, like, because it was a fellow who'd come through some tough times himself, you know. But he was the man that he gave me my first ever gig. Anybody who's ever heard stories of when people ask me about my first ever gig on any other podcast, that's the guy that gave me my first ever gig. He gave me the world of advice for those first couple of years, because he'd been doing it in America and stuff like that, and he gave me my first, like, I knew nothing about what the world of stand-up comedy was, and he gave me CDs like fucking Bill Burr, stuff like that, like, and just really got me, you know, he knew I was hooked and he knew the style of comedy I was into. Helped me through. I remember a competition one night up in Dublin. I thought competition was competition, but I got beaten by a guy who brought pretty much half the audience. And it was an audience vote, like, and I was fucking raging, because the only other competitions I'd ever been in were sporting ones, whether it was fighting or in you know, team sports or whatever. And it was done, you know, you won or you lost on the fairness of how good or bad you were. And I'd smashed this guy that night, but it didn't make it. But I remember he was just pulling me aside and going, no, man, you gotta, he was so good at keeping shit together with people. Like, even though there was times he was fucking, you know, he had his own tough spots and stayed with us a few times, and I fucking talked about it for ages, about getting him up and doing the fucking podcast. It was, and even with Chris Kent the last day, Chris Kent it was really close with him, because they came up together in Cork. They talked, he was asking me advice, because himself and Billy were going to start a podcast, because he'd opened for Billy on a few shows around Ireland. And you're kind of going, fuck, killed instantly in a car crash down in Gorey. I think it was in the Examiner and stuff yesterday, so it was, it was, I suppose, tributes, I suppose. They were just picking out, like, well-known comedians and stuff like that, but who had tweeted about their condolences and everything. But it is weird, like, in a community of a situation, you know what I mean? And it's a weird way. It's not like some guys die of, you know, from drugs or overdose. Like Ian Cognito died the month before last, guy, an English comedian. I didn't know him at all, but he actually died on stage. But I think he must have been in his 50s or whatever. But like, Billy was 36, and it's just fucking weird. It's weird, like, you know what I mean, when somebody's just wiped out. And I've had it when I was younger, chaps, you know, because you get over a certain point in your life and you're like, yeah, I'm into my 30s, okay, I've done all this, you know, stupid, silly shit, like, man, the amount of times I've dodged death, like, especially my youth, and the amount, like, a good few friends have been killed off bikes and fucking stuff like that. But by the time you're kind of getting into your 30s, your mid-30s, you're like, oh, okay, right, this is the point now where we coast for the fucking finish line, 70s and 80s, and we, you know, you die of something pretty natural, like, whatever. But yeah, just, and I think, like you say, you know, you hear it all the time, like, that people are happy, they're always delighted, and I'm not joking with you. Whatever inbuilt thing, it was probably, you know, good upbringing in America, whatever, but whatever inbuilt thing Billy had, he didn't have that begrudgery gene that we have. He didn't have the sour gene. He was just fucking pumped for the crack and good times all the fucking time, like, do you know what I mean? Even though he might have been fucking struggling with a few old demons himself, like, he was just fucking pumped for the good stuff all the time, like. And it was just, so when you read it, it's the number one thing everybody says. He just put you in good fucking form. I couldn't fucking wait to meet him every time we met. But he was getting busy with the job. And of course, I'm busy with the job, and you know what I mean? Fucking raging I never had him on the podcast. But I suppose, look, I'm no expert, and every single person listening to this right now has had somebody close to them die for one reason or another. Like, you know what I mean? It's just a fact of life. But just when somebody's wiped out early taken out of the game, yeah, it's just a fucking sickener. Like, and he had a lot to give, like, he's a young lad and everything. So, but he physically, he wasn't just actually working, you know, tipping away, even telling fucking jokes on the regular. But his full-time job outside of that was actually helping people, and he was fucking good at it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he'd take a call from these folks and stuff like that. Lads who were struggling with the old drugs and stuff, you know. So he was actually doing a really worthwhile good thing. So he physically was helping people. Like, so that's a proper loss. Physically, that's a fucking loss. You know what I mean? People would have been relying on him. But, again, I'm no, I've said this before, I'm no expert on fucking advising people on anything. What the fuck do I know? But if there is somebody that you're thinking of, you're going, fuck, we must meet up one of the times or something. Fucking do it, man. Do it. Because bang, like that, I'm absolutely having a great day on Sunday. And Gordo rings me. Mutual friend of the podcast, Those Conspiracy Guys, Gordo, gives me a fucking ring. I see 2 missed calls off him too, because it was like, Gordo would give you an old bell, like, you know what I mean? But he'd drop you an old text then going, here, I was looking for an old thing there, or, you know, I was just thinking this thing for your podcast and stuff like that, which just happens all the time, like, but you'd rarely see 2 missed calls, you know, because he wouldn't have time to be ringing a man twice, like, he's that busy. But I see 2 missed calls in the middle of the afternoon on a Sunday. I was like, is he around or something? Is he popping over for an old bite to eat or something? But no, he had the bad news for me. So like that, the only thing I can, like, do it. Fucking do it. If there's somebody you're going, jeez, I must give that lad a call. I haven't talked to him in ages. You know? Because earlier in the year, a fellow went to college with. Now, we didn't see each other much after college and stuff. So that's, you know, what the fuck am I now? 17 years ago. 16 years ago. Since I last really hung out with him and stuff like that. Brain hemorrhage, you know? But even that, you know, I'm not saying that's easier to take, like, or whatever, but it's like, you know, and he'd achieved a lot now. He'd made multi-millionaire out of himself. Like, but I had, you know, out of sight, out of mind. Like, but Billy wasn't out of sight, out of mind. He was continuously, you know, he was at my wedding and stuff. Like, so I was just 100% honest to God goodness. There was just goodness. Like, I've, you know, there's no mystery that I have a bad fucking gene, I have a bad bastard gene running in me, like, you know. But Billy would never punch somebody in the fucking head. You know what I mean? He was just an all-round good motherfucker, like, just a good bloke. So, and like that, fucking, we just in the last few months, had gotten so busy that we just never set aside the time to go and do the podcast. Would have been really the right way to go about it. And I wanted to show him too, because after having Chris on, I was like, fuck yeah, I must have Billy on, you know? Because that way you can see how the podcast is done and how simple it is and everything else, but just never got around to it. So, if there's somebody you're thinking of that you're thinking, even if you haven't time to meet up, I must drop you a call. Nobody's going to go, what the fuck are you doing calling? Nobody's ever going to do that. You can just fucking ring him and go, well, what's the crack? And we text more than everything else, like, or even leave him a fucking voicemail, you know what I mean? Leave him an audio message on the old WhatsApp, like, hey, what's the fucking crack? And pick a date. Write it down in your fucking Google Calendar. Pick a fucking date. You're going to sit down and have a chat. So there's 2 right now. I'm doing right fucking now. And I can see 2 open days. And that's when it's fucking happening. I'm going writing it in right now. Because before you know it, the long finger and shit like that happens. You know what I mean? Where one of your best friends gets fucking wiped out. It's, and you'll just be just like me right now. You'll be fucking bullying. You'll be bullying you didn't do it. Which I am. But there's fuck all that can be done about that now. We're going to have a benefit night for his family. We'll all maybe do a couple of bits and pieces. I'm going to try and remember the jokes I did on the very first night in Passage West Soccer Club. Where I remember him handing me a bottle of fucking beer. He goes, have the one, so can you calm your nerves. So it was unbelievable, like, because this was his job, was fucking helping people with fucking situations. He handed me one beer, and I remember I was fucking shitting myself so bad. I shook the beer like I was sitting on a fucking a tumble dryer. I shook it all over the fucking floor. I couldn't even hang on to the fucking thing. And he just started cracking his shit laughing. He goes, you'll be all right. Get up there. He smacked me across the arse. And he's the reason. He brought me on stage to Tom the Bear O'Mahony. And that's where Bear stuck. Because one of the boys told him that was my old nickname. And that's where Bear stuck from. Fuck. Don't leave it. Don't do what I'm fucking regretting right now. Fucking give that person a call. Go for a fucking coffee, a sandwich, call him over to the house. Sit fucking down. You'll be delighted you did it. And you know what I mean? Remember that moment when you do bring him over. Go, fucking delighted we did this. Do you know? Because we are getting more open as a society. Like, it isn't all, well, just shoulder punching each other. More cars on the road and shit. Anyway. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, this is normally a lot more upbeat than this. But you know yourself. Look, I'm not fucking bestowing, but I wasn't going to do a pod, but fuck it. I have a duty to you people as well, and you know what? You fuck it. stick it in your ear holes or whatever, or you know what I mean, even if you shut off halfway through this. But if you didn't, if you stuck to the end, it's normally more upbeat. I have a guest coming on Friday. I'm going out to record with him there now. You can follow me on all social platforms, obviously. Tom O'Mahony Comedy will find them all. And, of course, Chatty Snaps, which I'll reply to you, but I don't really use it that much. The filter's a good crack and all the rest of it, but I don't use it like I use Instagram. But yeah, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is Tom O'Mahony Comedy. Chatty Snaps is Tom Bear O'Mahony. I had a bit of a dialogue. I won't get into it because, I don't know if of a podcast or a podcast listener had a bit of a grievance with a thing I'd said. Fuck it. If you listen to, and the problem was it was an early podcast, and here's the thing: if you listen to, like a lot of you have listened to like 100 and odd episodes, you'll realize there is no point in having a row with me about something I've said, because this is silly shit all the time, barring of course when you get serious, like I just did there in the last bit. But that's my best effort. That's my best effort of being serious and trying to be, whatever. But I'm just no good at it. I'm just typically no good at it. So don't, just, if you can only take my one advice is to just give that fucking buddy a ring. Give that buddy a ring. But yeah, if you do want to send me on anything long form, I'd be delighted to see it. Send it on to bookshotpodcast@gmail.com or go through Tom O'Mahony Comedy, TomO'Mahony.com /contact, I think it is, or just go into the fucking the website TomO'Mahony.com or TomO'Mahony.com, and you'll find the contact page. Also, my gig listings are up there. I'll let you know as more dates for Defending the Caveman comes online. I'm going to be going to most parts of the fucking country, so you will find me through September through to November. Other than that, right? You mind yourself, mind your friends, and I'll talk to you again on Friday again.